Hi, I'm Andrew Sears. I'm the president of City Vision University, and thank you for agreeing to serve on our Addiction Counseling Advisory Council. The purpose of this council is so that we can better understand the needs of our partners, those who are sending us students and those who are hiring our students. It's an accreditation requirement, but more than that, we want this to serve as an opportunity to serve you and to help share best practices among our partners. So with reaccreditation, we have a 5-year reaccreditation cycle, and our 5-year outcomes vision really is serving three audiences. One is clients or program graduates, and that's through our Wounded Healers program. And our vision there is to serve about 10% of the program graduates of partners as a key strategy in transforming the lives of program graduates. So for many of our partners, they're the best in the world at helping get people sober in a 1-year program, but how do you keep them sober for the next 10 years? We often will work with program graduates if they go for a bachelor's for 8 years if they're a part-time student, and we can be a key partner in helping you improve your outcomes for that. It's not going to be a good fit for everyone, but maybe for 10% of your program graduates it could be. The biggest area we're focused on, this is all our programs, is really focused on serving staff and organizations, and what we're really trying to do is help build capacity. And our vision there is to enable our partners to more than double their total staff training hours, improving their ability to transform lives. So if people are better trained, then you're going to have better outcomes. That's really what we're trying to do there. But beyond just the organization is we're trying to enable movements, and with that to enable innovation. So to serve as a major source for thought leaders and innovation to enable movements to continue to grow and thrive. So that could be rescue mission movements, YWAM, Salvation Army, Adult and Teen Challenge, and our doctoral program is a big part of that, but there's other elements of that. And many of you know my background is I grew up poor and ended up going to grad school at MIT. While I was there, I co-founded a research group with one of the fathers of the internet and created this kind of diffusion of innovation hub of how do you spread innovation at some of the most cutting edge technologies. Now, we're trying to do kind of the same thing with City Vision now. You can also think of another example of what Stanford has done with Silicon Valley. And what we're trying to do is to create these innovation hubs around different areas of spreading best practices and innovation. So one of those is in program and counseling, another's HR, development, and social enterprise. So part of how we do that, so many of you go to conferences and are part of associations where you're going to be sharing amongst your peer organization. So we want to do some of that, but part of what we're adding to that is we have faculty that, many have masters and doctorates with decades, and together they have hundreds of years of experience, and they're kind of, collective reservoirs of experience. And then, we're collecting a lot of the best, workshops, articles, training, research, and then we're combining those into courses, programs, and certifications. So you guys are a key input into this process, but we also want to serve you. So as an example for that, just one thing that we're trying for this time is we have this partner best practices and resource sharing spreadsheet, and one of the tabs we have there is for program and counseling. So we want to just share some best practices in different questions that are out there, and some of the questions we're going to have in the document are also going to be related to that. Now, one of the questions that we ask in this in our advisory council survey is feedback on how our addiction counseling programs are serving you. Now, the way we're set up is we have 5 levels. So we have an addiction counseling certificate that's 6 courses, then an associate's, a bachelor's, a graduate certificate, and a master's. And these lower levels typically are designed to help get people certified as peer specialists or certified addiction counselor 1. Bachelor's generally certified addiction counselor 2. Different states will have different names for this. And this is, for our master's degree, we have a clinical addiction counseling concentration, and really what we're trying to do there is to equip people for 2 levels. One is the master addiction counselor. A lot of states will have those certifications, and the other is clinical addiction counselor supervisor. But then we've designed this program so it could also serve as a pre-LPC concentration. And our goal is to transfer up to 27 credits to Liberty's 60 credit master's program that's leading to an LPC. Is what we're trying to do with that program. Now, in terms of the courses we offer, so we have 33 addiction-specific courses. It's my understanding we have more addiction-specific courses than any other Christian university because we're just so focused on that. So you can see our list of courses here. One of the questions we'll ask is, how are our programs and courses meeting your needs? What do you wish that we would add? The other thing is just to explain kind of how we've designed this program so you can kind of understand that. So as we've worked with our partners, and we always ask, okay, what are your needs? We talk about different staff, and what we find is most of our partners staff are in one of these three circles, and sometimes they might have a little bit of the other whenever they hire someone, or they are promoting from within. Some people they'll hire from the outside, and that's someone who has clinical counseling experience. And often those might be Christian staff, but often they'll have a secular university training. So what they need is, there's three domains: clinical counseling training, Christian counseling, and it's important to recognize that there's distinct theory and techniques. There's a lot of people who they think, I'm a Christian and I have clinical counseling, therefore I understand this space. This is a whole field in itself. There's hundreds of books. There's there's a lot of courses in this space, and there's a lot of theory and technique that if you come from a secular university, it can be helpful to get some of this training. Then a lot of our partners will have ministry staff. I call them ministry staff, but what they need is they need better training on the clinical and the addiction side. And then a lot of our other partners will have people who have lived experience. So, they have a background in recovery themselves, and they may got lower level certification in addiction counseling, but what they need is the more advanced clinical training and sometimes Christian counseling training. So in here, this group, what you're really talking about is cultural competency. So I often talk with partners and they say, I just hired someone who has an LPC, but they don't know how to counsel someone who's just come off the street. And, they need the cultural competency. They need to understand, how do Christian organizations do this differently? You still use the best practices from the clinical field, but then there's additional things. So sorry about that. So what makes City Vision's addiction counseling program unique is we're trying to serve in all three of those domains. So we have in our courses, we're doing general counseling. So that's aligned with KCREP and LPC standards, although we're not KCREP accredited, but we're aligned with their standards. Then we're providing Christian integration. We're providing addiction-specific integration. So most programs are, most Christian masters in counseling will do these two things. There's other Christian addiction counseling groups that will do this. Then you have secular addiction counseling groups. So what we're doing is all three of those. So what that looks more specifically in how we design our courses is for example, in our master's courses, all of them will use a LPC aligned textbook that's aligned with KCREP standards. Then we use a book that is designed to work with this LPC, licensed professional counselor book that's written specifically with a Christian's perspective. So this is Family Therapy, is a comprehensive Christian appraisal that's used in a lot of Christian graduate programs. But then the other thing that we add here is addiction-specific integration. So in this case, we're using SAMHSA's TIP. Other times we'll use books. So part of why this can be helpful, and I'm just going to use kind of an example or a case study of, a lot of you are familiar with cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, I'm not going to go into all of this, but and this is really, I would say, among our partners, probably the most common form of therapy that's used. And what you're really trying to do is to change core beliefs, and you're trying to modify behavior, feelings, and thoughts. I'm not going to go into all that, but it's, head, heart, and hands. But this is what you're going to be taught on the clinical side. But how do you translate that into a Christian context? So part of what we will do in our courses is we'll explain, there's different methodology that can be used that's using the same concepts of cognitive behavioral therapy that's Christian methodology. So, a lot of our ministry partners will, teach good theology and good worldview. They'll teach how to use worship and how to use scripture memorization to, reframe your core beliefs. How do you put on the mind of Christ and things along those lines. And, for managing your emotions, you can use different techniques like worship and prayer, and Christian meditation and things along those lines. And then, for behavioral, you can use different methods. Now, what this is this is just an example of applying Christian methods to a clinical example. Now, whenever I talk with our partners, there's a good number of our partners that are doing Christian cognitive behavioral therapy. They may not call it that, but they're using things like this self-confrontation manual, or they're using the bondage breaker, Neil Anderson. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to kind of reprogram, help people reprogram their core beliefs so they don't have these negative core beliefs, and they're using, biblical approaches. Now, what we can do is we can add a lot more sophistication to that to tie that in with a lot of the clinical concepts. And what that's going to do is going to help you improve your programs and help you as you engage with others to explain your program to, mainstream groups that are out there. So hopefully all this is helpful. Thank you for agreeing to serve on our advisory council. I think a lot of this will make a lot more sense as you look at the questions that we've asked you, because a lot of these questions relate to this. So thanks again.